I decided to do my instructional video on how to clean the locker room at Wasilla Pool. The reason that I did this is because I have been working at Wasilla Pool for the past 6 years, and there's never been a written way of how to clean the locker room. It's been just passed down from person to person, and I thought that it would be pretty neat to have just an actually written instructions on how to do it for new people and just for everyone. So I made a flowchart of the normal steps that are supposed to happen. So it starts with disinfecting and cleaning the toilet, sinks, walls, and floor. Going on to the lockers, cleaning out the lockers, finding lost and found, making sure that they're clean, opened, aired out. Hosing the locker room, squeegeeing the water into the drains, drying off the walls, benches, and the mirrors. Replacing toilet paper, paper towels, and soap. Taking out the trash, replacing sanitary bags, and cleaning out the drains. I talked about the cleaning types in my instruction video. We have a caddy that we use, and the caddy has different types of disinfectants on it. It has pink disinfectant for the sinks, showers, and toilets, but also an orange disinfectant for floors and walls. I also talked about frequency, Windex, and mean grain, which are 3 other disinfectants that we use. I wrote that in preparation to clean the locker room properly, the disinfectant must sit for about 15 minutes. This is so the disinfectant has its chance to clean before we start hosing it into the drain. Using the caddy, we start disinfecting the locker room by spraying the floors and the walls. We also spray the sinks and the toilets, and that is where we will scrub them and make sure that they're clean afterwards as well. The biggest thing to remember for us is to make sure that there are no patrons in the locker room, because the disinfectant shouldn't be sprayed around people, but also people get really confused and worried if they see people using disinfectant sprays around them. I also explained that showering or spraying the shower walls is very important, because that is what most of the people touch in there. I went on to talk about lockers, making sure that the lockers are empty. I explained that if there's any lost and found, where it should go, if it was clothes or showering items or just trash. I also talked about wiping out the lockers. Since the lockers do not have a drain, it makes you have to wipe out the lockers with a wet rag. I also talked about hosing. Hosing is one of the things that takes the longest in the locker rooms, mostly because of the floor we have. The floor that we have is really rough and it kind of feels like sandpaper. And that means that when you're hosing, the water doesn't always go straight to the drain, and the hair and other things get stuck in the floor. So it takes quite a bit to actually hose all the dirt and excess water into the drain. But once you get it done a couple of times, it becomes a lot easier and like second nature. The drains that we have are also on like a cone, so the water doesn't automatically go into the drains. So I wrote in my instruction manual that to get the water into the drains, they need to actually push it into the drain with the squeegee, and then if it still doesn't work, then you're going to have to use a towel, which is kind of a pain. But when they redid the floors, they made the sandpaper floor, and they also made the drains up on a cone. So the water usually collects around the drain but refuses to go into it. If the water is not all soaked up by the end, it makes like a calcium buildup around the drain, and it looks really bad. I also talked about replacing all of the things that you use at the pool. So checking the toilet paper and the paper towel dispensers if they're low, how to replace them. Also making sure that the sanitary bags have been replaced and thrown away. I also wrote that if they were to replace the bags, that they would need to wear gloves, personal protective equipment. I explained where the trash would go and what you would need to do before you leave the locker room, making sure there's no big puddles, making sure that all the trash is gone, making sure that everything is cleaned up, and that everything is successfully completed within, we're usually given about 30 minutes. And that is my instructions on how to clean a locker room.